Hey, everybody. Good afternoon. It's Mike with Insider Secrets, and I am joined today by my guest and friend, Abel Pacheco. Hey, Abel, why don't you tell our listeners a couple things that they're going to hear today on today's podcast?
Yeah, we had a great discussion. Multiple things, but some of the highlights we talked about eating rejection for lunch. We talked about team building. We talked about sales. If anybody is trying to overcome some obstacles in their life, biggest challenges, and how to make some strategic decisions. And then we had a lot of great discussion about mindset and thought leadership in different platforms, and just it was a great all around discussion.
Yeah.
I'm super excited for you to have.
Yeah, I'm super excited you were here. It's been a great discussion. And listen, listeners, you're going to have to hear us at 12 o'clock on Tuesday in order to get the rest of this.
Welcome to this week's edition of Insider Secrets, the show that turns multifamily investing into reality. Each show we interview guests who are seasoned professionals, actively closing and managing real estate deals. Your host, Mike Morawski, has more than 30 years of multifamily real estate investing and property management experience. Mike is the founder of My Core Intentions and has been involved in over $285 million of transactions. Focuses on helping you create short-term cash flow and long-term wealth. Here's your host, Mike.
Hey, good afternoon, everybody. It's Mike, your host of Insider Secrets, and that's brought to you by My Core Intentions. And I always ask, what are your intentions? What have you been thinking about? What is your why? Let me ask you, what really matters most in your life and in your business? You know, at MCI, we invest in our clients' future through an educational platform. One of the things that we like to teach about is how to create short-term cash flow and long-term wealth while empowering you with using sound real estate principles to invest and manage your properties. Living a balanced lifestyle and a quality life in real estate can sometimes be a tough road to hoe. We can tend to get distorted, we get too busy, we get distracted, and our balance and our lifestyle gets rocky. So I like to work with people and see what I can do to help you live a more balanced life. I share a lot of those principles, and this is a shameless plug, but I share a lot of those principles in my newly released book, Exit Plan, your complete guide to multifamily investing and why you need an exit plan before you buy. You can pick your copy up today on my website or at Amazon. That's enough of that. But here's what I'd like to do is I'd like to introduce our guest today because I am really excited about our guest. I'm joined by Abel Pacheco, real estate entrepreneur from Texas. Hey, Abel, why don't you say hi to our guests today?
Hi, Mike. Thanks for having me on. I really appreciate it. And I appreciate you taking the time to give back to your network and create some educational content for others people and just give it out there for free. It's awesome, man. Thank you.
Yeah, you bet. And I'm glad that you're here. I just had the opportunity to be on your podcast a week or so ago, and it's been a great conversation, and I look to extend that conversation a little bit more today. Abel is from Texas. He's got a proven track record for repositioning properties, delivering quality renovated housing stock back to the market with consistent returns for his investment partners. That's saying a lot from an investor standpoint. Abel's experience in acquiring distressed properties, managing renovations, raising private capital, and managing single family and multifamily investment properties. Abel and his wife live in San Antonio, Texas. In 2008, they have invested, owned, and operated income-producing properties. Abel is invested $93 million of commercial, or is invested in $93 million in commercial real estate. It's about 859 doors. He's a general partner and principal in 512 doors and a limited partner in 347. He's working through the process of developing a 156 door community from the ground up. His wife, Leslie, is also a limited partner herself in another 282 doors. Boy, that's pretty impressive, Abel. I don't know that I knew all of that about you, but as I continue to get to know you more and more here, it's interesting to see your path of progress. Here's one question I always ask people when I have them on the show is, in one word, what describes you professionally and personally?
Faithful, I would have to say. That's the one word.
Faithful. And I would have to say that using a word like that, that has to be, you have to be faithful in everything, probably in your marriage to your wife, in
Mm-hmm.
business to yourself personally. That's a big road to hoe and can sometimes, I'm sure, be pretty difficult. Here's what we'd like to know. Why don't you talk about your backstory? Because going through your bio, we really talk about a lot of things that you're involved in and have your hands in. But why don't you talk about your backstory and tell us how you got to where you're at today?
Yeah, absolutely. So I'm originally from Corpus Christi, Texas. So I grew up near the beach. I spent my first half of my life there. Then I moved to San Antonio, Texas. So we're Texas family. That's where the Pachecos are from. And we've pretty much stayed here all our lives. When I went to San Antonio, it was really to get a degree from the University of Texas at San Antonio. And so I graduated there and met my wife in San Antonio. She was from San Marcos, also Texas. And we've been married for, I think it's 12 amazing years, and probably together for 16-ish. And we have a 3-year-old and a 1-year-old. And so now we live in the Alamo City. So it's a beach town where I grew up, and then Alamo City here for the second half of my life. I've been an IT tech sales professional, an executive, a strategic director for partnerships. We had a lot of success on the professional side. We went from, my biggest run was probably like $5 million a year to $57 million a year. And that was over the course of about 6 years. So it just went from 5 to 12 to 24 to 40 to 50, and had a lot of success. All through that route, we have invested in real estate since about 2008. So it's been about 12 years. And we realized early on, I think it was my dad had his first rental property. So while he only had our home, our residence, and the rental, I call that the first gen real estate investor. And I was a second gen real estate investor. So I followed in his path. We got to about, probably the most we ever had was about 10 single family homes. But I say this a lot. We went from 8 to 800 doors in a little under 2 years. And the way we did that was we basically transferred as much time, effort, and energy as we could from single family to multifamily. And that's where we end up today. And I can dig in a little bit more, share whatever you'd like to know more on this.
Yeah, that's pretty interesting. And I commend Leslie with 2 young kids and being in her own investments and managing her own stuff. That's a feat in itself. I'm impressed with your growth, right? Those are impressive numbers to go to $57 million in sales. And being in the sales industry and coming from the sales industry and selling, and my background is selling real estate. And I understand what that takes and the effort that it takes to do that. What do you think some of the biggest components or some of the biggest successes were for you along the way that helped you continue that momentum?
Yeah, really, it was a lot of persistence in the sales side. I've heard no probably more than most. I think any other salesperson that's listening to this, if you've been selling for 20 plus years, you probably heard no about the same amount of time as I have. But for anybody that's not in there, you just got to overcome. You got to put on this, shield of positivity as people are telling you over and over again, or slamming the door in your face, or not even opening the call in the beginning. You just got to, weed through that and say, I'm not really in it for all the no's. I'm in it for a few people's lives that I can absolutely change. And I never viewed it as sales. It was always the Zig Ziglar mindset. This is what my dad gave to me. And I took it just all the years, which was, if you help enough people get what they want, you're going to get what you want in return. And I always thought about it, I'm just trying to help the people get what they want. And if I find enough of those people that allow me to help them, man, we're all going to win. I'm going to win. My sales guys are going to win. My teams are going to win, because that $57 million was definitely not me. That was a team of 60 people, 6 or 7 sales managers, a lot of sales, folks, operations, administration, marketing, lead gen. It was a huge team effort. And it was that bigger team. We all won. And so did our customers, and so did our business, and so did our company. It's just like a lot of persistence to deal with all the no's. Yeah. A lot of persistence to fight through. And then we end up affecting a lot of people's lives, and we changed a lot of people's lives, from our end users to their companies, to our people, to our own salespeople in our own company. So that's what I learned through that run, I think, the most.
Man, you said so much there. I think we could have hours of conversation just on some of the points you made, but I
Mhm.
love Zig Ziglar, right? Listen, he was probably
Yeah.
one of the first, him and Tommy Hopkins were the two first
Mhm.
motivational speakers I was ever exposed to.
Yeah.
But a couple things that you said here, rejection, you can't let it bother you. And
Mhm.
as much as you can't let rejection bother you, I don't think you can let the success bother you either. So
Mm.
when people say, Abel, you are great, what a great job, you do great things, or Abel, no, don't call me again, you come from a place that sounds like where you don't let either one of those sides really affect you.
Yeah. Yeah. This too shall pass is another kind of thing. It's, man, no matter how high or how low, it's
Yeah,
going to pass.
yeah.
And who cares about yesterday? Let's just keep moving forward. And I want to have the best things in life that, God has put there before me. So I'm trying to get everything that I possibly can. And that goes into the faithful for sure.
Yeah.
But all of those things.
Nice. Good. Hey, a couple really key things here. I think if we master the repetitious boredom every day,
Hmm.
that's where the success lies. It's underneath that, right? It's picking the telephone up every day. It's calling sellers you might not want to call. It's knocking on doors you might not want to knock on. You master that repetitious boredom. When I was cold calling, I knew that if I knew by making 20,000 dials a year that I'd sell 125 houses. It was just that
Yeah.
simple. I made
Yeah.
$8 every time I dialed the phone. So
Yep, yep. It's hard to see that when you're in the middle of it. When you do the math, that's exactly like every time you picked up the phone, it was $8,
right,
$8,
right.
$8. How many times can I do that? It's
Yeah.
awesome.
Keep track of your numbers. So every good business person knows
Hmm.
their numbers. So keep track of your numbers because there's results in the data. You
Hmm.
understand the data.
Hmm.
Here's something you said though that really caught my attention. You said all the people that you affect along the way.
Hmm.
So I had an attorney tell me one time early on in the real estate business, he said, just think about how many people you keep employed by a simple cold call.
God,
So you
yeah.
pick the phone up and you dial a phone. You got the person AT&T, the operators, the service guys, all those people because you're using the telephone. You're affecting the seller who you're calling about prospecting, the guy who puts the sign up, the closer, the house repair guy, the title company, the lender. I think we actually made a list of about 110 people that are directly and indirectly affected by a simple cold call.
Yeah.
And when you start to look at it like that, you think, wow, I really play a part in the economy and in how things work. It's
Hmm.
interesting.
Yeah. I never thought about it like that. I just think about our business and their business, and we're going to help them. But so many other things involved now,
Yeah.
especially. So
Yeah.
that's great. Yeah.
Think about when you go to syndicate an apartment deal, how many
Oh, yeah.
people are involved.
Countless organizations and
Yep,
teams and companies, and they all win when
absolutely.
we win,
Yeah. So I think these are the things that we look at that happen in our life or come up in our life, and they're those defining moments. So tell us what one or two defining moments in your life have been in the real estate business.
Yeah. Yeah. I will tell you one that was the big push between buying more single family houses and then going to multifamily. I had factored on paper when I was younger. This was probably 26. I bought my first property, and we factored in, oh, this is how much our mortgage payment is, how much the principal, interest, taxes. Okay, great. We got all that stuff. And then we rented it out and we were cash flow positive. We made a few $100 every month. And my plan was to buy anywhere between 10 and 15 houses, have the renters pay them all off, and just that was my retirement at some point, right? About year number, I don't know, 7 or 8, property number 5-ish, somewhere in there, was one of the renters just absolutely demolished my house. And this was newbie rookie mistake. I didn't do as many walkthroughs in that house as I should have, but the time was very quick. It was like a year. I think 1 year that I didn't see this house. And the year that went by, man, when I rolled up to the house to do a walkthrough to see what happened and figure out what I'm going to have to do to get this re-rented, I see this like 40 cubic yard, dumpster in the front parking lot. I go, anybody that sees one of those in front of their houses, you don't even have to go inside. You can just hang tight. This was their move out plan. And there was like automotive parts and broken terrariums and aquariums. And I saw a room with like tarantulas and snakes. It was funny. Really, I think they had taken apart a motorcycle or something inside the house, and there was grease and parts. And then the whole house was like this, carpet ripped up, and anyways, demolished. I didn't quite factor in this like $30,000-$40,000 rehab into my plan. And so that was a defining moment for me that said, you know what? If I put that pen to paper over all of my holdings, that would definitely change my cash on cash returns, which I was looking at, and how much total ROI. And then I've looked at the time and effort and energy, and I go, it doesn't quite scale. I can't hold the same properties for 10 years. I'm not going to be able to create the passive cash flow that I really was intentionally going after. And then when I got to 10, 11, 12 houses, you're going like, oh man, this is kind of nuts. I had a full-time W-2. So I was working at that professional career that I was talking about. I was trying to make this my side hustle. And towards the end, I couldn't do both. And so that was pretty defining. The other part was like at work at this $57 million a year run. Actually, it was the year before. So it was 40 something million dollars. We had broken some records. It was amazing. Celebrating the CEO and the president of the company. I think it was, anyways, one of the top leaders gives me this for a reward for a month. They have this really nice car. It's called a Racker car. I worked at Rackspace, an IT hosting company, and they gave you this car, and I had it for a month. He was like, we're going to, give you this reward. It was a Fisker Karma. It was a $200,000 car. It's probably more than my single family house I was living at the time.
Wow.
And we drove it around. I felt like Batman. The guy, somebody rolled up, you look like Batman. It's just an amazing vehicle. But anyways, that was to cap the year off of success. But I'm sitting in this boardroom with with another like VP of finance, VP of operations, and they're like congratulating me on how great the year was. And then also telling me how my quota was going to get increased the next year over year. And if you're not an owner of that big quota increase, you're not the owner of the company. What that means is you have very little increase of pay, bigger numbers of sales that you're going to, execute, commit, get done, and win, profit for the company. But unfortunately, as an individual, it wasn't a great deal of profit for me, for my checkbook. So I think those two things were like pivotal to one, I need to go to multifamily. And then two, I need to figure out a different way from the W-2 job to try to do this for myself.
Yeah. And boy, there is a couple of defining moments in there, but the one that you touched on that I really was when you realized somebody had opened up a Harley repair shop in your living room.
Yeah.
And now all of a sudden you didn't factor that repair cost, that renovation cost. Mm-hmm. That is a defining moment when we realize, oh my goodness, now what? Yeah. And when there's so many people though that happens to, they go, why would you ever want to do this? And they run the other way, but you ran into it. Which is, I commend you for that, because listen, I've been in real estate 30 years. I love the business, and that goes to passion.
Yeah.
Hey, how do you make high stake decisions in your life?
Yeah. I have a coach that helped me like work through this. So I'm glad you asked this question, because he was asking me about all the different points, decisions, how we're working through things. And he came back and summarized. I'm not as strategic. My wife's really the strategic one in our relationship. But what he summarized for me, he goes, this is how you're doing things today. I don't know if you recognize it or not, but you're using something he learned about called the OODA, or the OODA loop model, OODA. And once he broke it down, I go, you know what? I love that. And he goes, I'm sure you love it, because whether you knew it consciously or subconsciously, you didn't, but this is what you're doing over again. It's like a success cycle. And what it is, observe, O. The second O is orient. The third letter, D, is decide. And the fourth letter is act, OODA. Observe, orient, decide, act. And I think if you Google it, you'll see it. It's like an old military decision loop model. And I think the fighter pilot, jet fighters, or maybe twin engine airplanes back then, however you look at it, they would use this in the air while they were like having a dogfight and going to war. So you got two planes going through, you got to make a decision quick, you got to move fast. And that's how they called it the observe, orient, decide, and act. And this is just over and over again, because the ups and downs will always come. The problems will always occur. The issues are going to happen. We're in real estate. Like you said, those problems are going to come. It's not a matter of if they're going to come. It's just when and how big of an impact. So you got to be able to make sure you maneuver quickly, make the best decision possible. And so you just observe what's going on. I understand. I'm trying to gather all the details I can, all the data points, all the market occurrences, what's happening. COVID this year is crazy. So you're trying to observe and then orient yourself and say, okay, where am I in this position? What am I doing? What can I affect? How can I do that how can I improve my situation, and what's the best outcome? And then the D, you got to pick one. This is probably the best course of action. Let's go. And then where I think a lot of people get stuck in, maybe that aren't in the business, that want to get in the business, or maybe they haven't done their second, third, fourth, fifth, 10th, 12th cycle. It's they don't act. It's the action that no matter what, observe, orient, no matter what decision is made, because I can make a decision in my head and say, this is what I'm going to do. But unless I act, there's absolutely no change that's going to occur. So it's just this cycle again and again. And if I fail, if I made the wrong decision, we definitely acted, but if I made the wrong decision, which happens a lot, unfortunately for me, but if I do, it's okay, because I'm in a new situation. Let's observe, let's orient. What happened last time? Why did I fail? And what can I do to improve it? Oh, I made the wrong decision. Here's the right decision. Let's act again. And then you just do this over and over again.
Yeah, what a great analogy. And that's so true. It's all in the execution, right? Because we can get all this knowledge and have all this understanding. And that's not there. For years, I always really thought that was power, that there was power in the knowledge, but it's potential power, because unless you execute or act, and you have to make that decision, right, to execute and act, to move forward. Mm-hmm. And that's what you're saying. And I thought that was really, you put that really well.
Yeah. I picked up a saying, and that saying was, knowledge is power, but knowledge, once you implement it, will change your life.
Yeah. Very good. I heard Jim Rohn yesterday. I was listening to something, and I heard Jim Rohn say, learn, execute, and teach. I thought, wow, that's pretty. And that's kind of like great. What you and I both do. We've learned, we continue to learn, we execute, and we teach others. You're great at giving stuff away and providing resources for investors and people to learn and listen. And I think that's awesome. Yeah. Hey, let's talk about resources that you use in your business. And when you talk about systems, technology, people, things like that, talk about one or two of the best resources that you have out there that you use.
I like to use systems. I like to use these processes. I am not the best at setting them up. I am not the best at identifying where my bottlenecks are in my own effort and work. And so I would love to tell you that the biggest systems and the best tools, I have some technology that I could share, but really it's people around me, because I've never invented any wheels, unfortunately. But what I have gotten good at is seeing other people's successes and finding their systems and their processes, and then trying to bring them over to my world. So I would have to say people is probably the best resource, the best tool that I use over and over again, because no matter what new endeavor we're taking, it's like, how in the world do I find that next system or next tool or next process that's going to save me time, that's going to save me money, that's going to create more efficiency in our business? I look to people, man, my partners have overcome miles and miles of my shortcomings. And I think that's why we've had a lot of success. And even in my professional career, that was it. I found people that were better than me, and I try to put them around me. I try to look for somebody, maybe they weren't better than me today, but they were 5 years the younger, or they just got their degree and they didn't have 10 years of professional success yet. But I looked at them and I said, you know what? That person is doing way more than I was doing at the age of 25, at the age of 30. So they're gonna surpass me by the time they're my age. I need to get this guy around me. And so that's what I leverage people till no end. And obviously I train them, I coach them, I try to teach them as much as I can, try to give back to them. But ultimately I'm trying to put people that are just way better than me, that are around me. And some of the simple tools and things that we use, we do have a technology for investor portals. We do have a scheduling link in my calendar. So I have a Calendly that just allows me to send a link to somebody that can choose an open time, and I choose my times that are available. And I have one for my podcast. I have one for helping people with loan originations. I do end up doing that on the side too. And I end up having my investor one, and I compartmentalize my day. And then I have the property managers and the asset managers boiled down to like weekly calls, summary of information, key performance indicators that we're looking at on the multifamily properties. And there's those kind of systems, but I didn't start any of them. I didn't create them. I just picked them up. I saw something somebody else is doing. I go, I need to do the same thing. Bring them over to my business.
Yeah, I only asked for a couple. I think you probably gave a dozen or so in there, but thank you. You mentioned coaching early on, and that you're in coaching and you have a coach in your life. And I really think coaching is important. But two lessons that you talked about that I teach to my coaching clients is, one is team building and networking is so important because we're only as good as the people around us.
Yeah.
Zig Ziglar also said that look around the 5 closest people to you in your life, and in 5 years from now, your life will probably reflect them. So if you like those 5 people, are they doing more than you? Are they earning more than you? Are they living a lifestyle that's, different than what you're living? And is that where you want to go? Or are you better than them? I'm not saying that, but he was real good about that. But that team building and having the right team around you is so critically important. Because guys like you and I, we're rainmakers, we're visionaries, we're big picture people, and we tend to overlook the details that need to be done. And so people in our lives that help with that helps us a lot. And then systems. After I bought my first multifamily deal, and I bet this is similar to you doing that first rehab, I needed to have systems in place for buying, for operations, for closings, for everything else that goes into syndicating a deal and putting deals together. Those systems are your lifeblood in the business. So I want my listeners today to really key in on the things that you said, and go back and listen to this recording a couple of times, because there's so much meat there in what you said, and a lot of information that can help somebody get started, or if you're started, go to the next level. Hey, this show is Insider Secrets, and I always ask my guests, give an insider secret that's helped you, that help you get started, that'll take you to the next level.
Yeah. That secret, I think I already spilled the beans a little bit, but it's really, I leverage people till no end. And when I say leverage people, it's always for the right reasons. Maybe I can share this, right? How I set up or set expectations correctly for somebody that I'm trying to figure out how to leverage and how to work together on my team. So I'm extremely transparent. As my secret, I'm like overly transparent with a new team member, potential either investor or potential team member or potential partner on my team, which in the multifamily side, I realize it's a big team, and there's multiple teams depending on how you can approach it. Right. So I am just trying to tell people exactly who I am, exactly what I'm about. I try to put that and be real as I possibly can, like my faith, my background, I'm a Christ follower. I'm a big servant. I love educating people. I like helping others. I don't know it all. I'm not an expert. I may have a good track record, a good run behind me, but again, I leveraged other pros. So I'm trying to give all of this stuff out as transparently as possible, and then give my biggest strengths, my persistence, my doggedness, my determination, the will to keep moving, and then maybe some real life, the tactical things that I'm good at. I like investor relations. I like being the front end. I like the negotiation. I like raising capital. I like doing this part of it, the social side, giving back and helping others. And then the more honest and transparent you are with your skills and maybe even your shortcomings, the better it is to find a partner that could see that in you and say, you know what, that's Abel just mentioned all the shortcomings. I'm great at all those things. Yeah. And everything that Abel mentioned that he's great at, I don't have any of those things. Let's partner. And that secret where some people say, I don't want to show my underbelly of all my, shortcomings or all the issues that I have, man, the more vulnerable you are, and then highlight your strengths and know what those are. So you can also give the positive about yourself, the more I think people are going to gravitate towards I want to partner with this guy and we're going to have success. And now I end up having, in a COVID year, 2020, now 7 opportunities that I've turned down, multi-million-dollar projects that I've been invited to. And people say, it's hard to find your first deal. And I agree. It was hard to find my first multifamily deal and it took me a lot of effort. But now this year it's had 7 offers where people asked me to be a principal or partner on the team. And I had to tell them no. So this is my insider secret there.
Yeah, interesting. And it just happens over time. And I think that you said, I see why we connect so well, and that's being a Christ follower. And I love that. Hey, listen, I know one of the things that you're doing with 5 Talents and your whole brand is building a strong brand. What do you think is important about building a personal brand? How do you go about that? And listen, we're getting down to the end, but I know you could take a long time and talk about that. How about a couple highlights?
Yeah, I would say we were talking about this before the show.
Yeah.
One of them is your social presence right now is uber critical, starting with you, who you want to reach. Who do you connect with? Who's going to resonate with you and your story? And the more you share your story, I think you'll find the people that resonate with you the most. And then they call it developing an avatar, but from a marketing perspective, that's what they say. Ultimately, it's who am I trying to reach? Are you trying to reach a doctor, dentist, former practitioner to raise capital from? Are you trying to reach a broker to have more conversations about new multifamily projects? Who are you trying to connect with in your brand? And whoever you're trying to connect with, your personal story needs to connect with those. So that's what you need to share over and over again. I like to say I'm tech, sales. I was the W-2 worker for years. I'm trying to connect with somebody like me. So I'm trying to be myself. And I'm trying to have somebody say, you know what, I connect with you. I'd like to get into your world. So develop your story, your brand, hit that over and over again, and realize that you're not the hero of the story. When you speak and talk, it's hard because I do want to be the hero, but you're really trying to help someone else be the hero in their journey. And if you can be the Sherpa, the guidance, the coach, the whatever, to help them establish success in their life, then you are trying to be the hero, or the Star Wars analogy, the Luke Skywalker, and you want to be the Yoda. So that's what I've also heard is really good. So it connected with me. It's, man, that's exactly the thing. And then the second part is, man, you got to get it out there. Social, LinkedIn, Facebook, repetition, consistent, daily engagement, asking thoughtful questions, trying to engage those people that could see your content and ask the questions, ask the tough ones. And then when they respond, when they like, comment, engage on your social post, for example, it's, man, I've got to engage. I got to get connected. I got to build a real relationship. All that stuff is on the surface. I'm just trying to get to the know, like, and trust. But if they don't know you, they're never going to be able to like or trust you. So I've got to get this exposure out any which way possible. And so I think that those might help in the short moment.
Very good. Very good. Hey, what are you working on these days?
I have a number of projects. One of the most exciting ones for me is an impact investment. So we've done this is our second impact investment. Recently, we closed 120 doors, and it was a multifamily property just outside of DFW. There's a nonprofit that we worked into the general partner slice of the pie. So basically, we've given away a piece of our profits to a nonprofit, and they makes their fundraising for their organization a little easier, and they get paid out just like an investor would. So that was really cool. We wanted to do it again. So today we've developed a fund, and it is a Regulation D 506C fund, which I've finally feel comfortable saying it on the podcast. And it's, man, this impact investment, we've got a nonprofit called Apartment Life. They're a faith-based driven organization, and they are in communities that we invest in. And this fund is just raising capital. We're going to go buy a bunch of deals, and we're invested into it's a feeder fund. So a fund invested into a larger one. We're going to buy multifamily across 9 different states and diversification to the max. We're giving away 15% of the profit, basically, of the GP to Apartment Life, which is a great community organization. And it's a pretty cool way for me I've never been able to write these huge checks to nonprofits or organizations, be that quote unquote benefactor, other than my church tithe. That's probably about the biggest place I give. But man, it's amazing seeing commas and multiple zeros behind some of the checks that are going to be written to these nonprofits. And we get an opportunity to do that through the investment. So we get to create wealth, create, cash flow, and build legacy at the same time of helping an organization that we appreciate. So that's cool. I'm excited for that impact investment and seeing who wants to come on the path with me.
Wow, that's awesome. Wow, good job. Hey, listen, on a lighter note, so a couple questions I always like to ask people, and I know you're in San Antonio. Favorite tourist attraction?
Yeah, I would be remiss if I didn't say the Riverwalk and the Alamo, because you got to go check those out. They're like almost walking distance. If you're downtown San Antonio, you can go to the Riverwalk, you can go to the Alamo, you can see some of the skyline, and it's just real nice right there. But the new school tourist attraction in San Antonio is the Pearl. It's like downtown. It's in the same area, new extension of the Riverwalk. And there's really great eateries, really great restaurants and bars, little park, little outside stroll, vendors and things like that. And there's some really nice, like renovated hotels, historic hotels that they remade. It's a really nice area. The Pearl is great.
Nice. Favorite restaurant?
There's so many, but me and my wife love Thai food. While there's these really great steakhouses and all these nice restaurants and things like that, what we end up going to probably the most is a Thai restaurant down the street, Thai Chalern, right there on Walsham. If you're ever in San Antonio, it's not a fancy restaurant, just a great restaurant for Thai food.
Love Thai food. Going to have to come and visit.
Yeah.
Do you have to wear a mask?
You probably, actually, yes, you do. I know that.
How about this though? Could you live in a better country where you can't eat inside, but you can build something outside to eat inside of there?
Yeah. I guess that's what it is. Yeah, it's a crazy time, man.
Yeah. Good health to you. Hey, best book you ever read?
Ooh, I'm gonna have to mention the Bible because I always hit it. But for those people that are not on the faith-driven side, I love the insights and knowledge and lessons from How to Win Friends and Influence People by Dale
Carnegie. Yeah.
It's one of those books that I've read, I don't know, 20 times or 30 times, or just something over and over again. You go back to. It's a really good one.
One of the biggest lessons I teach is building relationships, right? Because without you and I having a relationship, helps us grow and helps people around us grow. Yeah. And that's what it's about, because who do you know? Who do I know who can help you, help somebody else, do something for somebody else? And Dale Carnegie was a genius at that. Hey, Abel, listen.
Uber genius. Yeah.
Yeah. This was great. Thank you. I appreciate your insight, your energy, your passion, your love. You're great. And
thank you, my friend. Thank you.
Tell the listeners how they can get a hold of you if they want to pick your brain or build a relationship with you.
Yeah, we have a ton of content, ton of education, a ton of resources on our website. So you can and the contact me if you want to set up a time to talk, you want to schedule some time, that's on the website as well. So go to 5 tcre.com. So 5 talents, commercial real estate, 5tcre.com. And on there you can find /ebook for an ebook that we wrote that might help some passive investors get started. You'll find a bunch of podcast interviews. We try to put as many as we can on the show. As soon as this one comes out, I'll link it right under our About Us page as well. And then if you guys are interested in that impact investment and just want to learn more about it, it's 5tcre.com /fund. It's there as well. So look forward to helping anybody that has questions in any stage of their career.
Nice. And I want to thank you again for being here. I really appreciate it. Appreciate this time. And everybody, hey, listen, if you like this today, like us on YouTube and follow us on social media, love us, like us, do all that crazy stuff. And we're here every Tuesday and look forward to talking to you soon. Abel, thank you.
Thank you, Mike.
Thank you, Mike, and thank you for joining us for another great episode of Insider Secrets. As always, Insider Secrets is brought to you by My Core Intentions. Join us on social media and visit mycoreintentions.com, where you can get expert coaching on all things multifamily investing and property management. We're looking forward to having you back again next week for more Insider Secrets.